Simpsons. We need billionaires right now, Vlad.
Big money.
I guess the other one would be, I'm not familiar with this, the Higgs-Boson particle.
Oh yeah, the Higgs boson. So
It's totally fucking dyslexic on the Higgs. Higgs biscuit.
the Higgs biscuit part. Put some gravy on it.
Put some gravy on. Hey guys, welcome back to our second season of Eye to Nigh. Vlad, how the heck are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, I am excited to kick off season 2. A big thank you to everybody who's been rolling with us. If you're with us, you're with us, you know.
I gotta admit, making a podcast in like a totally saturated market, because everyone's got a podcast, it's extremely difficult. So the people that have stuck with us or listen to us, comment on our socials or posts, we really appreciate it. It is a hard friggin' journey, man. Honestly, right? Like, it's not been easy.
Yeah, but we're doing it, man.
We're doing it. We're not making any excuses. We're having fun with it. Like I said, this is our first episode back, our second season. We're really, really excited to get into it. So let's kick this fucker off, Vlad. OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
Are you a fan?
Am I a fan of OnlyFans? I have not used OnlyFans, so I don't know. I'm sure there's quality content out there, I guess, but I think it's hilarious, basically, that OnlyFans is like, hey, you content creators, sorry, like, you can't put this explicit material on our site anymore. Like, that's like 95% of their business. Like,
yeah.
How do you just kick off? But then they reversed themselves, right? Then they were like, oh, actually, hold on, wait a second. That's where most of our money comes from. Actually, we do kind of need porn on our site.
Yeah, it's weird. So I learned a lot about OnlyFans just doing some research on this. Number one, I didn't know it was a British. It started in the UK. Yeah. So it's like a UK tech company.
Okay.
It seems rare. I don't know why I don't think British people use the internet like we do in America, but they do too.
Pick up the phone, Mr. Churchill.
Pick up the phone. I've been calling Boris all day. But I was, number one, I was like, whoa, okay, cool. It's from the UK. Number two, that ban was a week long. They literally lost so much money in terms of their content creators. Like, so
yeah.
A lot of the women, I guess there's men on there too, but a lot of the women immediately lost subscribers, and like the women started, like, I guess, transferring their content to other sites that allow it. Like, I guess obviously there's a lot of other sites you could do. So they ended up losing money because of that. So I think they immediately were like, fuck it. You know what? It's porn. Who gives a shit? But also a lot of the women, what was really interesting is they felt a little more safe using OnlyFans. Like, because think about it, these women are making, like, they're paying off houses, they're buying houses, buying cars, all from the comfort of their own home.
Yeah.
Whether they're taking their clothes off or doing whatever the fuck they're doing, it's better than a lot of, like, sex work or, like, going out there and getting in trouble or, like...
Oh, I see.
Because a lot of them were worried about associating in the streets, with... maybe they were prostitutes, or maybe they were just like, it was harder for them to get.
But I don't think OnlyFans is like showing up with like a, got the jacked bouncers, like, hey, nobody's coming in this place.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's interesting. I think, so I am coming at it from like a different perspective. My thinking is like, it seems fairly stupid for OnlyFans to be like, we're going to ban porn. Because, I mean, if you just grab a random person off the street and be like, what is OnlyFans?
Yeah.
See,
that's the weird thing, because there's another thing I looked in. They didn't start technically as an adult social media. They started as like what they do is they promote their fitness and chefs. So there's like...
OnlyFans?
Yes. That's
so like Gordon Ramsay
not,
on his own.
Not necessarily Gordon Ramsay, but like TikTok, there's a lot of like chefs that are like, I'm a chef. And they're probably really good, but they're not like well known.
Yeah.
So a lot of their content creation comes from these chefs or fitness instructors.
Everyone's
in it. Yes. So that's how they promote it. So a lot of like banks and a lot of investment firms don't like OnlyFans because of what it represents. So how they market it is like, hey, we're not just this. Like, technically, yes, that's legal what they're doing. But we're also, involved with, like, other parts of life in the world.
No shit.
Yeah,
so
it's super weird.
So I just Googled this, and there's an article on OnlyFans how chefs can monetize their following on OnlyFans.
You didn't believe me, did you, Vlad?
I did not.
I didn't believe me.
I mean, I just. Sorry, that's not what I think of when I think of OnlyFans.
But like, there was originally the people that invested in it were worried about what they were investing in, and I don't know. I don't want to say they're still part owners of any equity of the company or not, but I know that was like a big concern, and that's still a big concern for a lot of investors moving forward with OnlyFans. But I really don't think they need any more help, because I mean they brought in $2.5 billion in revenue, and most of that profit, which is crazy. So, and that was by 2022 they're going to hit that mark. So,
well, I thought the big issue with them is like they're fine with adult content on their site. I thought the challenge was the payment processors. So like Visa and MasterCard are like, we don't want to process these transactions relating to adult content or like these particular, I guess, like transactions. And so, because I was chatting with a friend about this, because it was like in the news, and it seems like this would be a great space for crypto. Like if you think about it, those kind of high risk, because like let's say for example, there's some like really illegal content on the site, right? And then Visa is like, okay, we're gonna process this transaction where person A purchased this like illegal adult content from person B. Visa then is like on the hook of like all the federal laws that are broken, all the international laws, right?
Yeah.
So to me, like that's the big reason why they're like, no, we don't want to handle this money flow, because like it's a similar thing I think with what do you call it, like weed businesses. Like banks don't want to like funnel their money because it's like, well, what if this is drug trafficking? So instead they just have like mountains of cash just on hand. So like, right, this is how we do payroll. So it seems like a good use case for crypto, but like I don't think any of these, like I've never heard of OnlyFans picking it up.
Yeah, but that's like the thing I don't get. It's like Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, whatever. What's the difference between someone paying for this content? Say I'm a subscriber to some chick on OnlyFans, right?
Yeah.
If it's legal within their terms and limits, how is this illegal for me to subscribe to it? Or how is it illegal for, like Visa or MasterCard to have to pay like, whatever it is, the FTC or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So here's where the challenge comes in. It's perfectly legal for you to buy, some kind of content on the site based on,
as a consumer,
based on the website's terms and agreements, right? The little thing that's like, click here to agree when you put in your username and password. The problem comes in like at the federal level and the international level. So let's say, for example,
like India, they have like kind of stringent laws on like.
Well, yeah, but then let's say, for example, like maybe one of the performers is actually being like sex trafficked. So you buy, then it's like, okay,
being like pimped out on OnlyFans.
Right. So then it's like, okay, Visa processed money related to this like internationally illegal crime. So they're kind of like have their hand in the cookie jar as well as the site.
But, okay, I get that. That makes more sense. But like, couldn't you say that about all these fucking sites that are doing that? Because there are tons of sites that are that probably there are women really getting. I feel like I'm speaking for myself, but I feel like OnlyFans, it's legitimate, just women and dudes, I'm sure, women just saying like, fuck it, like I'm gonna make some money on my own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to take that away from, and call it what you will, I'm sure there's a ton of people that fucking hate OnlyFans and think it's disgusting or whatever, but if it's a woman doing it, she wants to do it.
Or a man.
Or a man. Or non-binary. Oh, God damn it. She should be able to do it, right? Like, who's to say you can't do this? Even if you're doing whatever to yourself. Shoving up honeycombs or whatever.
I mean, as long as it's, within the terms and as long as it's like okay on the website, and that's good, and you're not breaking any laws. Yeah, I don't think there is really like an issue with it. But I mean, they overturned it, right? Like they were like, oh, we're gonna ban it, and then the next week they're like, actually, wait, hold on, like.
And good for them, honestly, because I think that's what you build your empire on. You can say it's because of chefs and shit and fitness instructors, but
They
we know what that means.
They didn't get popular for, those TikTok recipes.
Unless the chef is naked chopping up, eggplant or something. But yeah, so I got a couple other things from this. It's just, it says after the news of the impending ban broke, sex workers began sharing advice about their platforms that would still work for them. They also expressed fears, this goes into what I was saying, they expressed fears that the decision could serve to drive the business back underground. Or back in the street, which is obviously, to me, more dangerous than what can happen on internet. So, I think they saw that and just noticed they were losing a ton of potential revenue and subscribers and stuff, and it became more or less like, you know what, fuck it, like, let's just keep it going.
Yeah, I kind of wonder, like, what are they doing now to, like, keep it going?
What do you mean?
So, like, at least, so I really thought that the thing was the payment processors. Like, I thought it was Visa and MasterCard. But, like, if they're still allowing adult content on their site, like, then somehow those things are getting processed.
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing. I mean...
But I guess, like, other places, too, right? Like, will let you trade adult content. Like, you can pay for adult content. So, yeah, I don't know.
Like, I can go and buy a bunch of porn at adult video megaplex
with your credit card.
With my Visa or a MasterCard. And it's like, they're not going to be like, hey, what the fuck did you just do? Yeah. So, I don't know. It's fucking weird, but I'm all for it. I mean, I'm like, if these women are making a shit ton of money. They're literally making millions. You
got to start sending photos of your toes on there, man.
Yeah, exactly. I just need to start like, hey, maybe I'll be on OnlyFans. You never know.
Go for it, man.
You never know. Maybe I'll make some extra. Natalia will love that, my wife. So, anywho, let's segue into. Actually, today is oddly enough, it's September 11th.
Oh yeah, 20 years.
20 fucking years.
Can you believe that, man?
Anniversary. It does not feel that long ago.
It doesn't. But I can immediately think back to like where I was. I remember being in middle school in, I think it was like history class, and the teacher rolling out the TV and turning it on, and we all just like fell silent.
So you got the TV treatment.
Yeah.
We didn't even get that.
What do you bullshit? Get?
I just remember watching, I was in middle school too, we're both the same age.
Yeah.
I remember I was in like an English class, and oddly enough, I had to write a paper about the Crusades.
Whoa.
So it was really weird, and my mom's like, do you remember that day, the Crusades paper you wrote, and how poignant that was? And I was like, yeah, I mean, whatever. But anyway, that's a really odd thing, but I just remember nuns. You knew something was wrong because you saw a bunch of nuns. 90-year-old nuns running around through that little window in the door.
Yeah.
And you just see Sister Alice, 98-year-old gout, like, why is she running? And then finally our teacher came and was like, there's been an attack on whatever, like 9/11, or on the first tower.
Yeah.
That was like the first thing that happened. We were like, whoa. But we got no TV. I remember my mom came and picked my ass up and was like, fuck it, he's coming home. Because my dad was traveling that day. So he was flying, I think he was in Ohio at the time it happened. So he wasn't in the air when it happened, but he flew that day. But it was bizarre getting home, watching that.
Yeah.
You just knew, even at a young age, I mean, you had to know like some crazy shit was happening.
It was some deep shit,
yeah.
And I mean, yeah, it's something that 20 years later, right? Like, it's just now Biden is pulling out.
Yeah. It's it was horrifying to watch too, even at, I think we were like 14, 13, something like that.
13, 14.
But it looked like Die Hard or something. Like, it just looked surreal. I mean,
because up until that point, right, like, we had never seen something like that before.
Maybe Pearl Harbor was like the last, because there was a bombing at the World Trade Center in like 92 or 3.
Yeah.
It was like a car bomb that went off in like the garage, but I mean, I know it killed people. There were victims and stuff. But
it wasn't like a plane smashing into the fucking side of the building.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
And just at that time, I guess it was, obviously there was no social media still. Can't imagine what that would have fucking been like today. But it still was just how quick that news traveled.
Yeah.
And how horrific everything was.
I mean, it was a shockwave throughout the world, honestly. Like, because even, I mean, obviously as soon as it happened, right, everybody's like calling, it's like, do you have family who, lives in New York, works in New York, is in a business trip, And so even one thing I heard is like, presidents of other countries and stuff were, on the phone with like the U.S. president, just like, hey, like
extending their.
Yeah, I mean, it was a major terror attack.
Yeah.
It's not just like something happened, something went wrong. It's like, oh shit, like
probably like not since Pearl Harbor have we seen something like that. And even Pearl Harbor, as horrific as it was directed at the military. Right. This was straight up directed at civilians, people working.
It's everyday people.
And early. Like, that's, I mean, I guess that doesn't, whether it's 5 p.m. or 8 a.m., it's still horrific. But like just the fact that these people are just arriving to work.
Yeah.
And the confusion and chaos it caused, and just like how scared everyone was, and what it got us into, which is obviously our next topic, which was Biden, as you said, pulling out of Afghanistan.
You pulled out.
You pulled out, man. I knew you would, dude. What are your thoughts?
So I think we gotta frame it for the people. So for me, one thing that helped was to just kind of like take a step back from Biden pulling out. And then thinking about like, okay, what's the
macro?
Yeah, what's the macro view here, right? Like, how did we get to this point? As you said, right, 9/11, one of the biggest attacks on American soil, since Pearl Harbor. A lot of people either dead or injured. And 20 years later, here we are, still dealing with like the repercussions and the impact of it. So. I was thinking about it and I was like, okay, well, obviously the 2 planes, right, crash into the towers, right? And then Bush is like, look, we gotta do something. We gotta go after these guys. Like bin Laden, we're coming for you. Mm-hmm. And so, from Bush to Obama to Trump to Biden, right? Like one presidency after the other, we maintain this presence in Afghanistan. We keep boots on the ground. We're training, the Afghan military, and there's like all this shit going on, right? Like Taliban versus the Afghan government, and like everybody has their forces, and like, it's just like this whole thing. So, we get to this point, and for me, what I kind of zoomed into was like the previous presidency. And the reason why is because I think that was like one of the pivotal moments. Like Trump signing an agreement with the Taliban. Mm-hmm. To me, that was like very, very unusual because he didn't like involve the Afghan government. And, right now, right, Biden is basically saying, well, the previous administrations, created this agreement. And so, I really have 2 choices. I can either honor it and pull out, or I can, continue to keep forces in. And I had to make this tough decision to, go one way or the other, blah, blah. So, because I don't think an agreement like this existed in Bush's time or Obama's time, right? We were just in there, we were like, we're going to root out these guys. Like, we need to, if he's in a hole, let's get him in a hole. If he's in a mountain, we're going to blow up the mountain. Let's go find him. But to me, I looked at the agreement between the U.S. and the Taliban, and that was like kind of what I focused on as like, okay, here's how we got here. And then, right, so Biden has this decision to make, and he, makes the decision to pull out. So that's kind of this viewpoint that I came at it from.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to agree with Trump or anything, but I feel like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
If you put it in the hands of the Afghan government, they were already so corrupt that, do you remember Mohammed Karzai?
Yeah.
So he was like the most corrupt asshole in the world. He was the president for like 13 years.
Yeah.
Literally. And he just loved power and the money. He did nothing for the people or the government or the military. The military was like, they didn't even pick the right fatigues. Like they picked like, they asked him what camo they wanted to wear, and they picked like desert green. So then like the U.S. had to spend more money on getting the camo than like what would have just been a regular.
Yeah.
It was just insane. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like, Trump signing an agreement with the Taliban is not like the greatest thing in the world, but what else are we going to do? Be there for like 100 years and not do anything beneficial? And you know what I mean? Like, at some point, I hate to say it, and I feel the same way with Biden. I mean, what's he going to do? Is he going to commit more troops and just stay there for another 8 years?
He could. Yeah. He could actually do that.
Yeah, exactly. He could. He could have said, you know what, fuck Trump. Like, I want to do what I want to do. I want to
Because the
continue to
thing
make
is,
this
there are
government-
other Trump policies that he has just ignored.
Yeah.
So he could have ignored this one
Exactly.
too.
I think you're just honestly, you're screwed either way.
Mm.
If Biden said no, let's stay for another 8 years, or 4 years until my presidency
Yeah.
ends, or if I get reelected, another 4 after that, or just pull out. I mean, what the fuck? At some point, it's just like nothing good in 20 fucking years. We've done pretty much nothing. Like,
so
and that's the shitty part because
yeah.
so many men and women have gone over, and men and women have died in Afghanistan.
Oh,
Civilians, kids, for nothing. For the Taliban to take it in a week or 2 weeks, it's fucking insane.
So that's actually one of Biden's core arguments, right? About like why the pullout is justified. So on the White House website, right, there's like transcripts of all the speeches and remarks he gives. So I went and just kind of like read through some of those. And one of the things that he keeps reiterating is like, we've been there 20 years. Mm-hmm. Like, what are we getting out of this? And, to his point and to your point, is like, initially our goal was to find bin Laden, right? Like that was after those towers came down, right? Bush is like, look, we got to go get this guy. He was the one who perpetrated these attacks. He targeted civilians. He's caused this damage and this terror. We need to go find him, right? So Bush said, okay, look, this is the plan. Put that into motion. We've had this continuation over the presidencies. And Biden is saying, well, we've spent billions, if not trillions of dollars.
Trillions.
We've done humanitarian aid. We've
$2 trillion.
Yeah,
is what it's said to have cost.
We've trained, the military forces. We worked with their government. Like we've been there for like 2 decades. It's not better. It's not
like Vietnam, honestly. It's the same shit.
That's a really good comparison because it's that kind of like endless. I don't want to say unwinnable, but it's that kind of like endless war.
It's unwinnable though too. Just because it's not like, we've talked about this before, like World War II, you had the Nazis over here with their fucking uniform.
Yeah.
And you had the Americans, the British, the Canadian, the whatever the fuck. And like you knew, okay, we gotta take this tower. There it's like there's IEDs everywhere. Mm-hmm. You can't go fucking 1 mile. It takes you like a day to go a mile because you're trying to like, figure out where there's explosives and shit. Your guys are getting killed by explosives. It's not even like an enemy in most cases. So it turns you against the people, which it did in Vietnam.
Yeah.
In Vietnam, it was the same shit. There weren't really like, you just didn't know. So, and we spent a shit ton of time there too. And it's just, to me, it is unwinnable because we have all this technology. We're one of the greatest armies in the world, but we still can't set up a democracy within 20 years in a country. And you can't set up a democracy when you're yourself are like causing a lot of havoc because the people themselves are gonna be like, what the fuck? Like you just blew up my house,
I mean, we gotta catch the terrorists.
Yeah.
Like we gotta stamp them out.
But we've caught the terrorists. We caught them a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean that's also something that Biden was saying too, right? He's like, look, we got bin Laden. We got him, box checked. Like, why keep staying there? But I wanna actually go in a different direction because I get what you're saying, but doesn't this make the U.S. look weak on an international stage? Like, if you are an ally of the United States, which the government of Afghanistan is, and the U.S. has said, look, we're in it with you, we're going to help you out, our goal is to, catch this guy, and we want to, do these counter-terrorist operations, and then at a certain point, we're just kind of like, well, you know what, it's not working out for us, bye. What message does that send to our other allies?
Well, I mean, I guess you could say it goes back, that, to me, my feelings go back to Vietnam as well, because after that, it felt like, we did lose a little bit of, like, what makes us powerful, and people perceived us a little differently, but we still, I feel like, had the most advanced army, maybe next to, like, say, China and Russia, they're great armies, too. But I don't, honestly, to just stay in Afghanistan because we don't want to look weak is like saying, like, I'm going to drink another beer because I don't want people to see that I puked. Or like that I can't hang.
What?
Yeah, fucking chug it, bitch. To me, that's like the worst excuse. It's like, oh, don't pull out because now we look weak as fuck.
Yeah.
We should have just, number one, the thing with Bush going into we went into but then we went into Iraq to get Saddam Hussein. It's so stupid. They totally lied about the WMDs, which we know is a fact.
Weapons of mass destruction in there.
That's weapons of mass destruction. But like, it's just hard for me to defend staying there when initially our goal was, whatever you think or not, to get Osama bin Laden, but then we immediately go into Saudi Arabia as well, or I mean Iraq as well, to get Saddam Hussein, which was like, he wasn't even part of it.
He wasn't on the radar screen.
Yeah, it was just some asshole who, George's daddy tried to kick his ass. And
But the U.S. is, somewhat has good relationships with the Saudis.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. That's why I don't want to go too far into this, because like a lot of this stuff pisses me off. Now there's a new ISIS K, like Special K.
Oh god.
But it's ISIS K, so they're back.
K with a crunch.
Yeah, crunch. But they're the ones who claimed responsibility for the airport bombing.
Yeah,
that killed a shit ton of people, of course. And I actually read the other day that the Taliban's like letting Americans and Afghans evacuate at the Kabul airport. Like they're saying, like, "Hey, we'll let one charter flight go."
So that's a condition of the peace agreement. Yes. So the State Department has most of the peace agreement on their website, and one of the conditions is that people be allowed to evacuate and leave.
What do you think of that? Do you think that's like because there's a lot of arguments saying the Taliban is actually the Taliban. No, they're actually not. They're a little more organized than they were in the 80s. They're a little more civilized. I'm not saying like what they do with separating women from men in schools is civil. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying that maybe they are not as archaic in their thinking as they were, even though maybe they're still not as advanced as we like to think we are.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think there is a potential for them to be a good government?
So here, I'll come on the record and say this definitively.
Ooh.
Well, because I haven't actually answered the question, right? Like you asked me what I think about Biden pulling out, and I gave you a lot of logic and reasoning.
Run around.
Yeah.
Typical.
So let's cut the bull.
Cut the bull.
Right. So how do I feel about Biden pulling out of Afghanistan? Absolutely the right decision. It's not, there's no circumstance in which a president is going to be able to pull those troops out very cleanly. Like, that's just not going to happen. I mean, the situation on the ground, like, if we haven't fixed this in 20 years as the U.S. with our military and our resources and our knowledge, it's not going to happen. Like, we could be in there forever, right? And we're sacrificing trillions of dollars more. That's time, the men and women of the military. Like, it's not getting better. I think Biden is taking advantage of a political opportunity because he can say, you just blame it on the previous guy. Yeah, this guy was in here, he did this thing, like...
It was the guy before me.
Right. Exactly. Like, I can't do anything about it, as president of the United States. So,
most powerful office in the world. It's not my fault.
Yeah. But I think, to his point, it's, if not now, then when? Like, what are the conditions where we can pull out cleanly? And we haven't seen anything over the past 20 years that will let us do it. So absolutely, like, I think he's making the right decision. But I know that on the flip side, right, there is the viewpoint of America's going to look weak. Our allies are going to start drifting towards, the up and coming superpowers like China, and it's like the U.S. isn't going to have the same clout, and like, well, we just left all this military hardware there.
Yeah, that's the thing that really fucking pisses me off. Like, we didn't even know, from what I've heard and read, they didn't even know what they had over there, like the military, like the high-ups.
Yeah.
Because that budget was so bloated that they just they couldn't account for the shit they had. Like a bunch of Black Hawk helicopters, a bunch of ammo, a bunch of, like, rifles and whatever. It's like anti-aircraft guns and shit. It's like, what the fuck? So that's even worse. But
I mean, there's some videos on the internet floating around, like, not that this is like a reputable news source, but like, you look on Reddit and there's like photos of the Taliban, right? Like suited up in American military equipment. And like one guy has his helmet on backwards and like the vest is fucked up, and it's like, okay, they're probably not really trained to use this stuff.
Making a mockery of.
Yeah, but at the same time, right, it's like, okay, they now have all these like very powerful weapons and technology.
They had it already though. I mean, maybe they didn't have fucking helicopters and shit, but they had so much shit. Because like when the Russians invaded, like in the 80s and shit.
Yeah. So now,
number one, if the Russians can't beat these assholes, who's gonna beat them?
So for context for the listeners, right? What we're talking about is the more recent Afghan invasion, but Afghanistan has had a history of military conflict. So what Joey's talking about is like back in the 80s, the Soviets came in, and that was like a whole set of conflicts.
And it was about oil and shit too. It's the same shit, different fucking generation.
But sorry, go on.
No, keep on.
No, that's all I have.
Okay, yeah. Well, I was just saying, like, honestly, the Russians spent a lot of time too there, and a lot of resources and time and lives, and they couldn't do it. And they're like next door, not next door. Maybe they're like, it's like Dallas to San Antonio. But like just the fact that but during the Russian shit, the Americans, because it was still the Cold War and stuff, Osama bin Laden worked with the CIA, and his name was Tim Osman. That was like
Tim Osman?
And that was his like covert name.
I'm Tim.
But we funded these fucking assholes. It's a fact. We funded Al-Qaeda. We created them pretty much. Well, the Taliban was helped by us to defeat the Russians.
But that's geopolitical strategy, though.
I know, but it always bites us in the ass.
Okay, but then what?
At least in the Middle East.
But what's the alternative? We don't fund anybody?
Just let the Russians have the shit. Who cares? Like, I don't care.
We need to maintain a powerful presence internationally.
I know. That's what they say in these classes at the university at Harvard, but it's like, once you start creating the boogeymen, and then you take out the boogeymen, and then you blame them for all these attacks and stuff, something's got to give. Like, it's just not the real. We even tried to blame Ho Chi Minh as a boogeyman. It was like,
in Vietnam,
yeah. So it's like we didn't create him, but I just don't think what we do. It dictates a lot of our problems. By trying to think we're smarter than everyone else and protect our national interests or international interests ends up fucking us hard in the end.
So I think basically what you're saying, right, is we're creating our own problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely true, but I don't know as like a military and geopolitical strategy, because the thing is, the U.S. has reach globally. Like, we are in all the waters, we have NATO bases, almost everywhere, and that's part of I don't know if it's hard power or soft power, but that's part of the power and influence that frankly keeps us on top as a nation. So if we start pulling that back, how do we maintain ourselves internationally?
But so you're saying pulling back as in, because we were never in Afghanistan. When the Russians were fucking around there, we were literally just trying to stop them from gaining resources. Pretty much is what we were doing, or setting up shop or whatever. So
what I'm talking about is our geopolitical strategy as a nation, not the Soviet Afghan thing in the 80s. I'm talking about how we have NATO bases in our different allied countries and how, we're delivering freedom to other countries and intervening. If we're not doing that stuff to keep us on top, how do we stay on top? Because manufacturing has gone.
It depends on what you think we're doing there. If we're helping other nations truly by getting rid of the bad guys and setting up a democracy for everyone, then yes, I'm for it.
Okay,
are we really doing that? Did we do that in Iraq? Did we do that in Syria, Libya?
Sure, but
any country we've gone in the past 10 years, we have totally fucked it up. And then we're what the I'm so sorry, but we've got to get out.
I mean,
so it doesn't work the way you're thinking.
We got to go past 100. I mean, Central and Latin America is...
Well, I'm talking about just the Middle East and Northern Africa. We've totally demolished these countries.
So here's the interesting thing, right? And this is again, going back to part of what Biden is talking about, as citing the rationale for this drawdown, right, is you think about Al-Qaeda, right, bin Laden, and now there's Al-Shabaab, ISIS-K,
hey,
right?
It's the special brand.
Yeah. So
sugar-free.
It's basically, it's kind of like when you see that roach come out and like scurry on the ground.
There's always gonna be. We cannot just stop every asshole who pops up.
We can't.
We're perceived as the assholes too, by the way, by a lot of other
countries.
Yeah. So it's like you're never gonna get rid of evil.
So this is the thing, right? I get where you're coming from, but I think there's multiple things that like we're trying to hit here. So one of them, right, is ensuring that we're big and bad, right? We're very powerful globally. Another is stamping out terrorism, which, as you said, right, this is an extremely difficult thing to do, right? I mean, there are all these other terror organizations that are popping up in different regions, from the Middle East to Africa, right? Even, go into like, I think Pakistan, right? Obama was bombing with like the drones and shit. So yeah, it's like you try to stamp it out in one place and it's, 3 more pop up. So it's extremely difficult to eradicate. And also too, the way that we're going about certain things, yes, is not the right way to solve the problem. Like, again, our goal, or Bush's goal, right, is like we got to catch and bring these people to justice. It wasn't, let's go into Afghanistan and show them the virtues of democracy, help them build schools, and introduce American ideals into their culture, and help with humanitarian aid. It's like we're gonna go into this hole and drag this guy out and kill him because he's launching attacks against Americans. Like, it's 2 very different like playbooks. Like counterterrorism versus like, we're going to help you grow.
So do you disagree that we tried to do both of those, or you're just saying we just wanted to go in there and get the guy at all costs, no matter what?
Yeah,
we definitely tried to set up a democracy and a government and a military and
but the thing is,
self-sufficient citizens.
Sure, but that doesn't make.
We literally did that.
But that doesn't make people on the ground like you anymore.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's my point.
Like, that's not an effective way to come around.
That's my point, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I know at all costs, we're going to get this asshole.
Yeah.
I know that. And we did it. Whether people believe it or not, that he was responsible or it was a culmination of things, we got him, right? Like,
yeah.
They say we got him. I mean, there's no picture.
If we didn't get him.
Well, I mean, they paraded Saddam Hussein like it was like the fucking Macy's Day parade to his death on TV. It's pretty much pay-per-view. It was like they
prime time at the UFC.
Rage Against the Machine performed before, and then it's like, I don't know. Then Osama bin Laden gets killed, and they're like, oh well, we wanted to respect his religion, so we dumped him in the ocean. Which I guess that's what they said.
Very respectable.
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't want to be wrong here, but I guess in Islam, you burials are like that's common or something, or you don't show a death of someone. I don't fucking know. But anyway, as soon as that came out in 2010, 2011, when we got him, I was like, that's bullshit. Wait a minute. But we probably did. I don't know.
The men and women of SEAL Team 6 want to have a word with you.
They'll all strangle me with their fucking fingers. So I'm not saying I don't believe it. I'm just saying like that was kind of weird. And like they were saying it was hard to identify the body after he was shot. They said they identified him by his ear. I mean, we got some similar looking motherfucking ears in this country, in this world. I'm sorry, but
we've kind of strayed away from the point. What was the actual point here?
The point is that we did try to go over there and set up a democracy while simultaneously trying to blow up every little thing in the world.
Yeah.
And we failed.
So, yeah. So I think the thing is, I don't think you can effectively do both. You can't punch in the face and give a hug at the same time.
Yeah.
You got to really pick one or the other. And the thing is, we went in there guns blazing, and that's not going to, I don't think you can do that and still be like,
there's no hearts and minds being won.
No, not at all, because you can always point to that and say, okay, so the Americans came in and they helped build a school.
Yeah.
Or,
and they blew it up with a drone strike.
Yeah. Like every week there's a drone strike and, this person died, or there were these casualties or something, or weapons are now coming into the country, or something is, there's no like, it's not like a blameless thing. But I think the other thing to acknowledge here though is it's, at least to me, incredibly difficult to do the other I
get what you mean.
No, I mean, not without coming in guns blazing. I'm just saying, like, even if you come in and you're like, hey, we're going to give you this money, we're going to build these schools, we're going to, like, lift up your people and try to get you guys towards a well-functioning democracy.
Yeah.
That, in and of itself, is an extraordinarily difficult task.
We can't even do that here.
Right. So we're going to show up in some place where the culture is completely different, the language is different, and we're perceived as, you know, these basically imperialists showing up being like, hey, guys.
Back.
Yeah. So they're in our backyard now.
Yeah.
So
it's a scary thing. I mean, I'm lucky I never joined the military. I'm happy. I mean, I see a lot of virtue in it, and the people I know that served, I love them, and they're great people.
Oh, yeah.
And they would go back in a heartbeat.
Yep.
But, like, I am just, from what I've heard from them, I'm just, like, because my mom wanted me to serve. I'm just glad I didn't.
Yeah.
Because who knows? Who the fuck knows what you would.
It's funny you mention that because my mom has mentioned to me, like...
Our mothers need to go bowling.
Oh, God, no. That's
Betty,
a bad idea.
Betty, I'm going to get you or go bowling, okay?
No. It's going to turn out terrible for us.
They'll probably love each other, though.
They will.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Go ahead, Len. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no clean solution here, you know, and I think Biden is going to take a lot of flack.
Oh, yeah.
Even now, like, his approval numbers are dipping. You know, people are like, it's disrespecting the people who died at 9/11, and Biden better not show up outside the 9/11 memorial. And it's like, what do you want him to do? Like, you want to keep putting people in harm's way over there for how long and spend more money? And, you know, and I get, okay, yes, like, now the Taliban is in control, right? Afghan government, for all the training, all the money, right? These guys folded like a house of cards. Taliban's running the show now, and they're armed with U.S. weapons. Like, I get that, you know, I empathize with that, but at the same time, I think this is going to sound really weird, but, like, Trump at one point was like, we need to put America's interests first, and, you know,
and we're getting it now.
We are. Like, it's a very strange thing to say, like...
That guy was a dick, but he did say some good things that I agreed with.
It is strange, but, like, I was reading through, like, you know, what Biden is saying, and I'm like, sounds really similar to, like, Trump's position on this.
But they all do that.
Yeah.
They literally all somehow circumvent and regurgitate
America for Americans.
Yeah, America for Americans first.
Yeah. So, I don't know. You know, Biden's got a tough job, you know, on a tough road ahead of him, but I think, we had to come out of there at some point, and why not now? You know, if not now, then when? So.
And we can't speak for veterans and stuff who feel, because they probably have a totally different viewpoint, and we're like, no, fuck that. Like, we went there, I lost my friends and brothers or whatever. We should have stayed until the fucking thing is done. So I can't speak for that. I'm just speaking as a regular old American citizen who's probably had a lot of privilege in this world, not seeing what those people have seen.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, at this point, 20 years, if it's 5, I'm like, okay, let's see, maybe next year.
I mean, let's say, for example, Tom Brady and the Patriots were trying for 20 years to win a Super Bowl. Yeah. And if they had failed year after year, at some point, you know, you would think...
chalk it up.
Yeah, somebody's gonna be like, Tom, look, man.
I'm hanging out, bud.
Just...
What the fuck are you talking about? I'm fucking in my prime, baby.
So, yeah, I mean, any other, you know, just switch it up for any other thing, right? Like sports or whatever. And it's like, it's time to hang it up, you know?
Okay. So just to recap, did you believe our geopolitical strategy, do you believe hold on, YouTube.
Take a breath, Joey.
Do you believe our geopolitical strategy and our ambitions as a country that stem back from, you know, since World War II. Do you believe in those? Do you believe we should be on every water and every sea and every land? And
that's
because I feel like you're very not anti-establishment, but like not for how things have been going the past 20 years.
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question. A younger me would have said no.
Same.
Like, I feel like when I was younger, I would have been like, yeah, it's not our business to be, you know, on the wall for the world or being in all these countries. Mm-hmm. In a strange way, though, like now, I would say, I don't think it's our obligation, but I think that's the position we've put ourselves in. Yeah. Like, I mean, I hate to say that because it's like, it sounds so cliche, right? And like, I think back to when Bush was making all these statements about, what did he say? We have it's like a group of allies or like a
Axis of evil or some shit.
No, that was the other guys. But he was saying a coalition of the willing.
Oh yeah,
that was the term he was using, and I'm like, sure, but like, I mean, we don't need to be there. Like, that's not our thing. But honestly, I look at it now and I'm like, who's really gonna do this? Who's really gonna do this work? NATO? Like, which country is really funneling trillions of dollars?
Yeah.
It's not Italy. It's not France.
It's a world issue for sure.
So I think we are in the position of power, and for better or worse, that's where we find ourselves. I think at this point, we don't need to continue like expanding our tentacles. I think we just need to like maintain where we are.
So you're saying there is a responsibility that falls on our shoulders.
Yeah.
We have for 70 years now, or 80 years,
We've been fucking around in other people's backyards.
Pounding the stone.
Yeah.
And now it's like too late for us to be like, fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, the crows have come home to roost multiple times.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, we can't just be like, oh, okay, we're just going to pull everything back. Like, a lot of shit, I think, is going to crumble. Like, those strategic alliances that we have in certain countries, and it's not even the threat, but it's like a deterrent. The fact that we are in certain countries, like, look at our relationship with Russia, right? I think the reason why that is the way it is, and that they're not even more aggressive, is because we have a presence with certain countries that are, in their neighborhood, who are our allies.
Yeah.
So we can go in and we can say, okay, Ukraine, like, we got your back, and you're very close to Russia, so by proxy, we are close to Russia if something pops off.
Yeah.
But I don't think we need to just continue rolling into people's countries. Like, no, from a humanitarian standpoint, it's like, we don't need to fuck more shit up, but we can't just abandon the responsibility that we've already undertaken.
I got you. I agree with you too. I think like in a younger me, I'm just like, man, what the heck are you doing, man?
Yeah.
But now I'm like, no, man, like, this is a realistic view. We need to make sure everything's on the up and up. So
we've seen too much.
Way too much.
But yeah, we've gotten pretty serious, so I think we need to.
Yeah, I'm ready to fucking kill myself. So let's wrap it up. This has been like a topic of our discussion for a while, right? Like, we've been wanting to talk about this. I'm not the biggest Simpsons guy in the world, but I know I watched it.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Saturday night, do you remember it was like X-Files, Simpsons, Malcolm in the Middle? It was crazy.
But then
that lineup was nuts.
It also used to come on during the weekdays. So I would like get off of the bus, and if I made it home just in the right time, I could pick it up at 6.
Oh, so you were waiting for Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So our last topic is the predictions the Simpsons have made. I've wrote down some notable ones. Vlad, so you're the Simpsons fan. Take it away, man.
The Simpsons have been eerily accurate at predicting a lot of future events, like a lot. And it's not even one of those things where it's like, this could happen and they're like, it's going to happen. They come up with the thing and they're like, yeah, what if this happens? Like Trump becoming president. And then,
yeah.
And it's like, whoa, shit, like they called this like 10 years before,
Yeah.
So it's freaky, man. It's scary.
So like the Trump thing, the one thing I've noticed, because I looked up a lot of their predictions, right?
Yeah.
And they have many, and they're very eerie. Super weird, creepy, like exact, not like a broad, kind of vague.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, oh, that's just
It's lucky. Very specific.
There's literally probably 50 of them that have come true. In exact order sometimes. But the Trump one, I noticed that, like, because Trump in the 80s, did you ever see the, like, clip of him on Oprah where he's like, I want to run for president? And she's like, you would be a great president! But it was back when Trump was, like, everyone loved Trump. Yeah. It's just when he became president, everyone hated Trump, which is weird. But, so he always wanted to be president. He had, like, he was like, I'm going to run one day. So the Trump one, but the weird Trump one is like the escalator. Have you seen where he's...
Oh, yeah.
And it's literally the fucking clip of him...
Yeah.
I guess it was 2016 where he's like... And the kids waving in the back. There's like someone in the back.
We are living in a simulation.
It is fucking... That is the one that fucking got me where I was like, holy shit.
Bizarre.
Literally, okay, people at home who don't know, look up... I'm assuming it's on YouTube if they haven't fucking taken it off. Like, taken all my videos that I like off, but oh shit, this is on YouTube. Nat cut it. There's literally a clip of Trump going down an escalator waving.
Yeah.
On a Simpsons episode, probably in like 2008 or something, and then like in 2016 when he's elected or he's running or he's doing like whatever meet and greets, he's on an escalator waving. It's like the same layout, the same frame, the same angle. It's bizarre.
But don't you think it's possible that he saw the Simpsons episode and was? Just
I don't think he's. That could be. Now that's another thing that I've thought about. Like maybe they've seen it. Maybe they've like said, this would be kind of funny. But, because the Simpsons is very prevalent.
Oh yeah,
it's a big show.
It's a big
oldest running show I think in the world. It's been like 30 years.
Yeah, it's like 26, 27.
I don't even know what comes. I know South Park came out when I was like I think it was 97 for South Park. So I think South Park's probably like the second longest running, which they're a whole different ballgame. But the Simpsons, another one that really fucking weirded me out was the Super Bowl predictions. So like 3 years in a row, they predicted the Super Bowl champion. So you would think one is like, whatever. But 3 years in a row, there was an episode with Lisa. It was called Lisa's Wedding, where she said if the Washington, at the time they were called the Washington Redskins, now the Washington football team, if they didn't win, she would not like them anymore. They fucking won the Super Bowl that year. Then the next two, I think it was like the next season, she said if the Cowboys don't win the next two Super Bowl, they fucking won those 2 years in a row.
So the moral
it's so hard to win it's so hard to win a Super Bowl, period. Any team or any championship in professional sports. So many things have to go right for you. Management, players' health, coach, everything. To predict 3 in a row is fucking weird.
So basically, if The Simpsons has a Super Bowl prediction, what you're saying is bet on it.
Yeah. Oh, I wish I could go back. I wish I could have told my dad. Simpsons. We'd be billionaires right now, Vlad.
Big money.
I guess the other one would be, I'm not familiar with this, the Higgs-Boson particle.
Oh yeah, the Higgs boson. So
it's totally fucking dyslexic on the Higgs. Higgs biscuit.
The Higgs biscuit particle. Put some gravy on it.
Put some gravy on that shit, baby.
So yeah, there was I think they were saying that there's like this God particle that is like the fundamental thing behind like science and the universe and science shit. And then like I think like a couple years later, like a decade later or something, it's like scientists were running experiments and lo and behold, boom, here's this God particle, and it's like what the fuck?
And it was like something like a $13 billion experiment.
Yeah.
Why does a math experiment take that much money? Isn't it just paper and a ruler?
No.
And a calculator? The TI-83 is probably the most expensive part of that. And you're telling me it's that much? Fuck out of here with that.
So there's a joke in undergrad that like the math department was the cheapest to run because all you really needed was a blackboard and chalk. You didn't have to give them anything else.
Some Goodwill Hunting shit.
Yeah. So unfortunately, no. The reason why these things cost so much money is because the people running these experiments, right, have to build big machines to simulate the conditions. So they're like, spitting plasma at like 5 bazillion degrees Fahrenheit.
They really do that?
Yeah, like this is so Google CERN, like CERN, the CERN Institute, and look up some of their experiments. I'm sure there's like a Neil deGrasse Tyson video or Michiko Kaku video about it. But basically they build big, like, things that are the size of rooms to like run these experiments. So it takes a lot of power and they got to put it in special places like close to a dam or like some weird place underground in like Switzerland or something. But yeah, it's fucking expensive.
So it's a lot of trial and error. A lot of building, disassembling, rebuilding.
Oh, dude, it's like, it's got to be one of the most frustrating jobs. Because imagine you're looking for this thing that like someone somewhere thinks might exist. And you run, you
and the God particle of all things.
Yeah. So you take like millions, if not billions of dollars, right? You have people build all this shit, and then you turn it on and you run the experiments. And you get all these, brainiacs in a room to analyze the data and do all the calculations. Exactly. And then you're like, oh, actually, guys, sorry, we didn't get it. We got to do it again.
Yeah, I can imagine a lot of that machinery and experimentation takes a lot of time too, just to set it up for that hypotheses or whatever.
Exactly.
according to the research I did, it was predicted in the Simpsons episode of 1998, and then it was fulfilled in 2012. That's when they actually proved the God particle. But in like I think it was like the mid 60s, they came up with the actual experiment or the hypothesis.
Yeah.
But the fact that I mean, that's just fucking. That's the really
it's
weird.
Really
one.
bizarre.
The Trump one really fucks me up. Though,
Yeah.
Because I mean, people listening to this, you have got to YouTube the
It
video of
is-
him waving on the escalator.
It's like shot for shot.
It's fucking weird. I mean, even the people in the background, it's got like the same layout. It's fucking weird, honestly. Another one I had written down, I did a little research on, was 1998 episode called The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace. And it's where Homer Simpson becomes an inventor and is shown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That corresponds with the God particle, the Higgs boson particle. So I guess that's what makes that one a little more even weirder. Mm-hmm. It's like he's actually shown, or he's actually doing the equation on the board.
Yeah.
That hasn't been proven yet.
Yeah.
So.
But I think there's a surprising bit of like math and science behind The Simpsons. So Matt Groening, right, the guy who created it, also created Futurama. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I heard about that show is that there's an actual math, theorem, or like there's a mathematical law that the writers of that show created just for a specific episode. Like they invented it, wrote a paper on it, proved it to be true, and then stuck it in the episode.
Okay, so this makes everything even more weird then, right? Because if these guys are that smart and they're a bunch of mathematical, like, for lack of better words, nerds.
Yeah.
Wouldn't this make this a little more interesting then? Because if someone's actually predicting this stuff.
I don't. So, all right, let's.
Come on,
take us home. Let's open the door here.
Yeah.
So there's a series that I would highly recommend you read, at least just the first book, because it's like it's a long series and it's like, kind of opera-y and dramatic. But it's called Foundation by Isaac Asimov. The core idea behind this, this Foundation series is that there's one guy, this dude called like Hari Seldon, who basically can predict what's going to happen in society on like large scales. Mm-hmm. So imagine like if there's like, let's say in 20 years we found out that like China just completely falls apart as a nation. This would be the guy who is able to mathematically predict that.
Is this a true story or is this fiction?
No. This is all fiction.
Oh, okay.
This is not real. But there's I think it's actually getting turned into a streaming series. It's going to be on Apple TV, so you can catch it that way. Good. But that's what this reminds me of. So this, this writer Asimov, right, the sci-fi writer, he came up with this, idea, this like universe. So being able to predict what happens in history, this really, because he was like a physicist. So now I'm kind of like, all right, well, you got these math nerds on The Simpsons predicting stuff.
It's weird.
It could be a conspiracy.
Well, I mean, math is like the language of the universe, right? So it's like everything can be explained. Math doesn't have any boundary in terms of like what's proof, what's not. It's all universally agreed upon, right?
No.
Okay.
So there are things that are proven.
Well, it's like I'm so sorry.
No, Joey.
Joey, god damn it.
Joey.
All right, here we go.
No. So in math, right, there are like there are theorems and laws and axioms,
Proofs,
right?
All that.
Yeah, so there are things that we know that are verifiably and verified to be true. There are things that we think are true, but we don't know like whether they are or not. We're just kind of waiting for someone.
It's like a theory.
Yeah, we're like, we think this is right, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. And then there's the things that we just have no fucking idea about, where we're like, this is really weird. There's all these weird connections, but like we don't know what the fuck is going on here. So yeah, there are some things that we know for sure that we're like, this is a thing. Like, yeah, we're pretty sure about that. But there are also things that are like very strange and very counterintuitive and very weird. So like one thing, for example, is like, you think of, let's think of infinity, for example, right? Like if you have an infinite amount of, let's say, Skittles, right? So you start pulling Skittles out of your pocket, right? Or out of the little pouch. 1 Skittle, 2 Skittle, come back an hour later, 50 Skittles, 100 Skittles. Let's say you have an infinite number of Skittles. There's actually different sizes of infinity. So yeah,
So this
one's gonna blow your mind off. So let's think of like integers, right? Like 1, 2, 3, you know, blah, blah, blah. You can go towards infinity.
Little numbers at the top.
Yeah, exactly. So there's an infinite number of numbers, right? And that number of infinite numbers, right, has a size, right? We call that infinity. But now, how many numbers exist between the number 1 and 2?
Right. There's 1.1. There's 1.11111.
Exactly.
1.11222.
So that is also infinite, but that's a different size of infinity.
Yeah. You know what? This fucking pissed me off. I remember my fucking teacher doing this shit on me. I lost it.
It's really bizarre. So, I mean, I say all that to say, like, you're right. Like, the world is essentially math, but the world is a weird fucking place, even when you look at it through the lens of math and science.
Especially when you consider we don't really know everything.
Oh, no.
We don't know. I think they said, like, the first, like, 200,000 years of Earth's history, we don't even have a written...
Yeah.
Like, these idiots didn't even know how to write shit down. So it's like, we don't even really know what they saw.
Yeah.
Or how they... Like, the first... maybe I'm, like, skipping over, but, like, the first... people, like species of people, whatever they are, not Neanderthal, but the ones that are whatever the fuck. They couldn't even write shit, so they just saw shit and were like, oh.
Yeah.
So it's like, we don't even really know that part of our history, so, but, yeah. So you will say, though, that, like, the stuff that's proven is all agreed upon. Yes. No one's out there being like, that's not right.
Yeah. That's, if it's proven, it's agreed upon.
Okay. Because I know, like, constellations, all that shit, it's all, there's a lot of math involved.
Yeah.
All that shit.
Yeah, and no one's disputing that. Yeah. The disputes are, like, so there's like a computer science thing of, like, does P equal NP? And basically what that means is, like, what's a really good example of this? It's, like, if you can come up with, oh, God, I'm probably going to butcher this explanation. Just Google it. But, so there's this question of, like, in computer science, is this one type of problem the same as this other type of problem? Because if it is, like, we already know how to solve one, that means we can solve all the others.
Right. What you do is you subtract one in from the other.
Exactly. But, like, nobody really knows if this thing is true or not, and no one has proved it yet. So we're just all kind of hoping, like, okay, if we know how to solve the easy stuff, and the hard stuff is really just the easy stuff, you know, with a little razzle-dazzle on it, we're in business. But nobody really knows whether both things are the same or not. So
so from a little bit of Googling, the P versus NP problem, an unsolved problem in computer science. It is the solution to a problem, or if the solution to a problem is easy to check for correctness, must the problem be okay to solve or easy to solve? The P versus NP problem is a major unsolved problem in computer science. It asks whether every problem whose solution can be quickly verified can also be solved quickly. That's interesting.
Yeah. So one example is, like, trying to figure out whether a number is prime or not. You can... Actually, is this... I don't know. Maybe this is not a good one. Yeah, you guys may need to fact check me on this one. But basically, it's like, if I just give you a random number, right? Can you determine whether it's a prime number or not? And, you know, the typical way is like, okay, divided by 2, divided by 3, divided by 4, blah, 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 right? But is there a way to just, like, almost instantly be like, hey, give me all of the prime numbers? So it's like, if you can check whether something meets, like, a particular condition, like being prime very quickly, does that also mean that you can get all of the things, like, very quickly, like, generate all of those things? So, like, we have no idea. Nobody knows.
That's crazy. You would think someone would have came up with that already.
But it's
Matt Damon or
he just needs more chalk. That's all he needs to, like, get off of those Born Identity.
Fuck you. That's what Matt Damon. Fuck you. That sounded like Christopher Walken on acid, but that's pretty interesting, though.
Yeah, there's a whole, like, wormhole of it. So I'll go in for one more, just because, you know,
hit me with it.
I studied math, right? So this stuff is, like, I'm very interested in this kind of thing. So when we talk about science and, like, some of the basic particles and physics and how the universe works, you know, like, because you had to take, like, physics in college, right? Like, kinematics and, like, force is equal to mass times acceleration and all those, like, you know, random ass formulas, right? So we have a good understanding of how things work on a large scale, right? Like there's elastic collisions, inelastic collisions, like, you know, one car hits another, a pool ball hits another one.
Mm-hmm.
We understand.
Force.
Exactly. So like force and acceleration and the relationship between those, we understand how that works. But if you shrink down, like imagine yourself getting super, 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 super small. So now you're looking at like atoms, go even further than that, like shrink yourself even more. Now we're at like the quantum level.
Mm-hmm.
Shit is just completely weird.
Particles.
Yeah. So now the thing is, right, we have, you know, Einstein gave us this view of how the universe works, right? And then we also have this other thing, which is, so Einstein is like, here's how the universe works if you're looking at it from a big picture.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's this other view, right, which is like the quantum view of things, which is how things work on a very small level, like smaller than the eye can see.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know how these two things fit together. Like at some point, right, like you kind of have to, if you imagine, right, like, okay, you're 7 feet tall. Now you're 3 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're 1 foot tall. Now you're 12 inches tall. Now you're, you know, 1 micron tall. At some point, like there's this kind of middle ground where you're kind of like halfway in the big stuff and a little bit in the small stuff. We don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
And we don't understand how those things work together. So it's like, we can tell you how things work at 10,000 feet, and we can tell you how things work at negative 10,000 feet.
But anything in between.
We don't know how those work together, like at the boundary.
Mm.
And that's like, well, fuck. So, you know, there's like scientists who are like, oh, you know, this is what I think happens. And it's like,
that's what makes me mad about science. It's like, they don't even, it's about consensus. It's not a fact, right? It's just like everyone, 50 people go, yeah. So I'm always like, yeah, you know, I don't know.
I mean, the thing is, like, we don't have the answers. Like,
we don't. That's the thing, and that's fair. I like that science is that, you know, 90% of people are like, no, that's correct.
Yeah.
But now I'm to the point where like, who's paying them? You know.
Honestly, so this is
because you know that happens. Studies are probably paid for to prove this and this and this.
So here's the thing, and we're like far off topic.
Yes. What did we start with? The Simpsons.
The Simpsons.
Yeah, this will be this is gonna be a rough one.
So I would highly recommend like talking to people in academia, specifically like, I hate to call them this, but the grunts. Go talk to a postdoc. Mm-hmm. Because there are people who are doing graduate level, like professor level science and math shit.
Oh yeah.
And getting paid like $25,000-$30,000 a year.
No doubt, yeah.
Like a year. So the people getting paid, I feel like that's like, okay, big pharma has a scientist or like a group of scientists on retainer, or a company who can generate some results. But like the people who are actually trying to like advance the field from like a theoretical and even an experimental,
or true independent research,
they're getting peanuts. Like they're not.
That I do agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I think those are the people I would look at for some sort of, you know, understanding.
Yeah.
Because that is the thing that I've always like run into with science. It's like, I feel like it is just a bunch of bullies. A bunch of nerd bullies that are getting, you know, that are getting either paid from this big corporation or this big pharma company. So yeah, I think like the people at like university, like PhD level, or, you know, whatever, are doing like the real God's work right there.
I mean, but it's as with everything, right? Take everything with a grain of salt.
Oh, yeah.
Like I can, you know, they always say like, you can always lie with statistics.
Yeah.
Right? Like I've seen marketing material for like, you know, computer graphics cards, and they're like, oh, this new graphics card is gonna blow all the others out of the water.
We're gonna kill you, man. We're gonna kill you.
Yeah. And then like you dig into it, and it's like, okay, the graph just looks like up and to the right for performance. Yeah. And then you start asking some questions, and like a couple of people look at it, you know, and like it kind of gets passed around, and then it's like, oh, wait a second, actually, like this isn't really shit. Like this is nothing. It's all just marketing.
You know, have you heard the book How to Lie with Statistics?
I've heard of it, but I haven't read it yet.
You know who's reading it on film?
Who?
Bill Gates. And I'll leave you with that, guys. No. Actually, guys, we want to end with a little bit of like an Austin touch with this. And it's one place that you've been in Austin longer than I have. You actually went to UT. I moved here about 4 years ago. But
he's not real Austin.
I'm not real, I get it. I'm from San Antonio. But my wife, our co-producer,
yeah,
loves this fucking place called Taco Joint, and I can't fault her for that because this place is absolutely amazing. Vlad, talk about Taco Joint.
So Taco Joint is a little spot right off of Dean Keaton, almost behind the engineering buildings. And if you've never heard of it, I highly recommend checking it out. They have great tacos. I mean, if you're looking for pork, beef, carnitas, like whatever you want, even vegetarian tacos, I think they have some. And the salsas,
you know they charge for salsa now?
what?
Yeah, but it's okay. 25 cents.
That's how it
Does
starts.
add on though, but
Austin is changing.
you guys have changed a lot since
Used to be
Elon
cool,
Musk
man.
came here. Since Oracle and Elon Musk came. There's actually 2 locations. So there's one on Riverside, which I've never been to.
Oh.
But the UT campus one is like the hot spot.
Yeah.
That bitch is always packed.
Oh, it's popping.
Guys, I can't tell you this enough. The fucking tacos are amazing. They've got literally probably 15 different ones. I don't know if they have burritos. I don't think they do.
I think it's just tacos.
It's just tacos, but my favorite one is the El Capitan. And they have like a Gouda steak and egg taco that is just out of this world. So I get those 2 predominantly, but I mean their breakfast tacos are amazing. Like Vlad said, the salsas are out of this world. I mean they got literally any one you can think of that would appease any palate. I mean they got like spicy, they got like a creamy avocado one. They've got like a bit more spicy with like I think it's a chipotle.
Oh, there's a nice little like orange habanero one
Yes,
that's a little fruity and a little spicy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Little refreshing but also spicy at the end.
You know, I actually, so whenever we go to Taco Joint, I keep the salsas in my fridge after I've used them on the taco. Like the tacos are gone, and I keep the salsas and put it on other shit. That's how good
I will say I do believe. Do you remember they were like the little salsas?
Yeah.
I think they are bigger now.
Okay.
I'm not totally sure. Last time I went there with Nat, I can't really remember how big they were. But, I mean, the tacos were better than ever. I mean, I feel like they're always so good. Tortillas are big. Did I mention they're huge? I mean, they're really, really big tacos, guys. Check out Taco Joint. The one by UT is the one I really go to, but there is one on Riverside. So, Vlad, do you have anything else to add to this Taco Joint plug?
Yeah, you guys check it out. You know, if you want some great tacos in Austin and you want to support a local Austin business, hit up Taco Joint. They're over at 2809 San Jac Boulevard, right behind UT and the engineering buildings. Or, hey, you know, check them out on Riverside too, 134 East Riverside Drive. Fantastic tacos. You won't be disappointed.
That's true. I'm hungry right now.
Yeah.
I'd love to get some of those right now, to be honest. 2 will do it, too. 2, I get 3. Don't get 3. 3 is like, you don't even taste like the last few bites of the first taco. Although they are really good. It is worth it at the end. But, guys, with that, we bid you adieu. And this was our first episode back, man.
Yes,
Second
season
season.
2.
I'm really proud of ourselves. Guys, again, thank you so much. The ones that listen to us and the ones we hope to reach. Just know that we really appreciate you guys. This is still like a lot of learning for us.
Oh yeah.
So you know, if there's anything you guys recommend or want us to change or any ideas that you guys want to throw out there, please reach us at our social. We're on Instagram,
Facebook, YouTube. You know, we've even got a Twitter account. Hit us up. We want to hear from you if you got thoughts, ideas, feedback. Something, maybe a restaurant you think we should check out or a direction we should go with the show, let us know. We want to hear about it. Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah. See you guys. Bye. And thanks, YouTube, for showing us in live 10 o'clock.